Okay, now we're ready to start installing Hadoop. We no longer need the VirtualBox edition, so I'm going to remove that. There we go. Should be an eject. All right. Let's pull up our browser, Firefox. If I wasn't sharing this out, I would go log into my Blackboard site, but I don't want to leave any passwords on here. And I have a tendency to save those. So let's just go over to Hadoop.apache.org. Should get us there. And we just want to download it, install it. So download Hadoop. Go to the releases page. And we want to do 273, the binary. And we'll follow this mirror. So we're going to save the file instead of opening it with Archive Manager. I did that in class and got kind of confused, but let's save it. It'll take a minute or so to download. Okay, so we finished installing or downloading our Hadoop archive. Let's expand it. We need to pull up a terminal. So from my home directory, I'm just going to expand it right here. It's over in the downloads folder. It'll take a few seconds. While that's working, we'll go over to the documentation. There it is. We're in release 273. So we want to do the single node setup. Of course, we're all familiar with this from class. We already have the apt-get. Well, this is for Ubuntu, but we have SSH and rsync because we installed our developer environment. We need a JDK, as we found out, and I learned something recently that the JDK is not installed, even though we installed developer tools. There might have been another selection on that menu that would have gotten us the JDK. So if I do alternatives -- display Java C, there's nothing there. So I realized that I had installed Maven before, so we're going to install Maven, and through that process we'll get the JDK. Before we install Maven, I'm going to modify my sudoers. I'm going to make it so that I can sudo without authenticating. So if I do sudo bi sudo, I need to authenticate my HD user. Then I'm going to come down here where we have a few defaults, a default section, and I'm going to type, I think it's default Bing authenticate. Yeah, there we go. So that will turn off the authentication. When I was earlier prompted for a password, now it won't prompt me for a password anymore. Oops. Defaults. All right, now it likes that. So if we type sudo ls, it's not going to prompt us. Just to be sure, we'll bring up another shift control tab, open another tab, shift control T rather. And yeah, so I don't have to type password anymore to sudo. And I want to yum install Maven. It's going to find all the dependencies, and you can see here that one of them is the OpenJDK. So by installing Maven, we get the JDK. It'll take a few minutes for that to complete, or a few more seconds. We're going to say yes to this package. Okay. All right, I think everything's installed. Just verifying. We can go back and find that command. This time, it should find javac, and I'm going to pipe that into a grep for trying to remember the keyword. All right, we'll do it without the pipe, and it's current. Okay, and that'll give us a cleaner display. So our current version of the javac is under this long path here. We're going to take part of it, Control Shift C to copy, and then I'm going to edit the etc Hadoop. Well, I got to move into the Hadoop folder. So cd Hadoop. We'll notice if we try to run bin Hadoop, doesn't work. We could export Java Home and fix it temporarily, but let's vi etc Hadoop, and it's Hadoop env.shell. We'll notice that we have this Java Home statement here. We're going to erase that part and insert Shift Control V. We'll paste in our Java Home. Save this, and now it runs just fine. Okay, so let's switch back to the documentation. We can run Hadoop. We want to set it up for pseudo-distributed mode. So we'll go down there. Here we need to edit a couple of files. Back to the terminal. The first file we need to edit is core site XML. Can and grab that. Oop. So control copy when you're in the browser or any other part of the UI. But when you're in the terminal, you have to do Shift Control Copy C or Shift Control V to paste. So we'll edit this file. We see down here there's a configuration section, but there's nothing in it. Switch back over to the documentation, and we're going to copy this property here, which sets our default file system. If this isn't set, it assumes you're using local, which is not distributed, not the pseudo distributed mode. It's just local mode where you use the local file system. But no, we're going to run an HDFS server, so we need to tell it we're doing that. And Shift Control C, nope, got it wrong again. Control C, and then back over here, Shift Control V, puts the property there, escape, right quick, quit, and then the next file we need to edit is the HDFS site file. Control C. Shift Control V. Same thing here. We have an empty configuration section. We need to paste our settings from here, which in this case, we're setting the replication to 1. Control copy, paste, escape. All right, back to the documentation. Now we need to set up password SSH, passwordless SSH. So we know that that's not going to work. If we do SSH localhost, we'll say yes. That means we're going to add the fingerprint for our own host to our known hosts file. And it got added, but it's prompting us for a password. And we can type the password and we'll get in, but we need that to work without typing a password. So we're going to follow these instructions to set up a key. Now, this is one of the things that once we personalize our Hadoop VM, we'll have to modify the keys, especially if you want to use this public key for access to your GitLab site. If you don't change it, then everybody will have access to this key, and then everybody will have access to your GitLab. And you probably don't want that. So we'll do this first part. That created the keys. And then these other two steps are for copying the public portion into our authorized keys file. Oops, there we go again. There we go. Then the last command here, we're going to change permissions on the authorized keys so that SSH will actually trust that no one else has the ability to write into the authorized keys and give themselves permission to access our account. So last chmod, and now we should be able to SSH localhost, and we get there without being prompted for a password. Awesome.